everybody, and welcome to Megazord Radio, the podcast where we recap and rank episodes of the Power Rangers children's television franchise. I am your host, Riely. I almost said joined by a wacky cast of characters as usual. That's a different show. I'm joined by one other character, and it's Nightster.
I'm still wacky, but
Yeah, you're a wacky character. You're not a wacky cast of characters. At least I don't think. I don't think you have multiple personality disorder, but I suppose that remains to be seen.
no, I don't.
when Nightster 2 comes out and catches me off guard.
Yeah, the update.
when Mada comes out.
Oh wow. Okay. We got Madar before GTA 6.
Real. Folks, we're here to talk about Power Rangers. And once again,
Yes,
I'll say the same thing I said last week. Boy, are we.
Oh yeah, we have banger episodes to talk about.
I teared up. I'm not going to lie to you. And that's knowing that the Green Ranger's only going to be gone for 15 episodes. I still teared up a little bit.
I mean, I was close as well. They hit hard.
They really do. But folks, it's time to talk about the Green Candle. Season 1, episode 34 and 35 of Power Rangers, a two-parter. So, part 1 first. It aired November 17th, 1993.
It did.
This thing says it's written by Mark McCain and Stuart St. John and Gary Glassberg and directed by Robert Hughes, but I feel like the writer might have changed between parts, and that's not all for part 1. But the wiki doesn't specify, so sorry.
Oops.
But we're here to talk about part 1, first of all. And we start off in the juice bar. Classic place to start. Tommy and Zach are doing martial arts. They're doing a training. Zach loses the sparring match, because of course he does. Well, he gets his revenge later, but right now he loses. And then Zach is like, "Did you ask her yet?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Come on, Kim is obviously fucking madly in love with you. Just ask her to the dance, idiot." and then Tommy's like, "If it's so easy, you try it." And then that's when is this the first? No. Angela was in Happy Birthday, Zach. I think. This is not we've seen Angela a couple times.
We've seen Angela. Yeah, I definitely remember her.
Okay, so Tommy's like, "If it's so easy, you try it," and he points out to Angela. And then Zach's like, "That's easy. You just gotta do a cool walk, do a spin, bust a move." And he does a slick little dance move that ends with his arm around Angela, and Angela just says, "Get a life, Zach," and walks away.
I love that bit so much.
Yeah, Zach's Riz was not. You'd think Zach's Riz would be 100. That would work on any woman, you would think, but Angela's not for it.
Yeah, she knows what she wants, and it isn't Zach.
It's not Zach. You say that now, but But regardless, we go to Rita, and she's like, "I'm gonna do the green candle. I'm gonna make a candle out of this wax that I have, and when it burns out, I take the Green Ranger powers." Hey, Nightster, if she had this the whole time, why didn't she do this immediately after Green with Evil Part 5?
Well, maybe she had to replicate something from the wax she already had and make it into a big candle.
This took a lot of work, and she had to make sure it was a really nice, well-crafted candle before she enacted this plan.
Instead of, just having that one tiny bit of wax she already had burnt out, which would have made it so much quicker and easier. But no.
Yeah, also, is it required for the candle to be that big? Could you make it a smaller candle so that there's less time for them to get it?
I don't know.
Anyway, the Green Candle's not the most logically sound episode of Power Rangers, but neither is most episode of Power Rangers, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So Rita wants to kidnap Tommy as part of this plan. So she sends some putties.
Putty Patrol.
I feel like we go back to the juice bar once, and that's not mentioned here. Yes, we do, because it's a Bulk and Skull scene. So we go back to the juice bar. Tommy loses to Zach this time. And Zach's like, get your head in the game, man. And he's like, I'm sorry, you got me thinking about fucking Kim or whatever. Well, I phrased that sentence very wrong, but, it might be right.
I mean, well,
they have to get married first, the kids show.
yeah, true.
By the way, Nightster, unless Ninja Steel broke the seal, because I've heard it happens in Ninja Steel, but I don't know if it's also a cheek kiss. I believe we are in for the only lip-to-lip kiss in Power Rangers history. Later in this episode, I think it's the only one ever.
Can't remember if Ninja Steel does.
I know that Haley and Calvin, I heard that they kiss in a school play, but I don't know if it's lip to lip. I haven't seen that episode yet. But I know, and also I haven't seen 2 episodes of Cosmic Fury, so like perhaps Izzy and Ferd are going to go lip to lip, but I doubt it. But this was definitely, at the very least, the one lip to lip kiss in Power Rangers for a good 24 years.
I'm gonna fact check that because
there might be lip to lip kisses between like adult mentor figures, but between 2 Power Rangers, it was Kim and Tommy, and then maybe Haley and Calvin. Like Wes and Jen definitely didn't kiss. Nick and Maddie definitely didn't kiss. I think those are like the only prominent Power Ranger ships I could think of. And Tommy and Kat didn't kiss.
okay, well there's.
Oh yeah, Tommy and Kim do kiss one more time in a Christmas episode.
So
but they're the only Power Rangers allowed to kiss each other.
This pisses me off. I'm not sure if it's going to piss you off.
Okay.
But a kiss between Izzy and Fern was filmed in Dino Fury, but was ultimately cut due to the no kiss policy within the franchise at the time.
That's such a shitty policy. I hate the fact that they didn't break that. Okay, I don't super mind they didn't break it for Fern and Izzy. Like, I wish they would have. The fact they didn't break it for Wes and Jen was a war crime.
Yeah.
Punishable by death.
Especially in that ending. Like, damn. That would have been perfect.
It really would have. But regardless, it's going to be a good 4 or 5 years before we get to talk about Wes and Jen. So let's focus on Tommy and Zach and Bulk and Skull, who have entered the juice bar.
Yes.
Oh, this is when the Angela shit happens, because then Bulk and Skull walk in, and they're like, ha, Zach struck out. And they're like, well, why don't you fucking get girls then, Bulk and Skull? And then they do a little poem. They're like, roses are red, violets are blue. No one would ever go out with you, haha. But Bulk like puts his jacket over his head and does like a girl voice. And then when he's done, he can't get his jacket off of his head.
Yeah.
So they try to pull the jacket off of the head. Bulk falls down. Everybody laughs. All the women in the juice bar gather around to laugh at Bulk's failure.
Yeah, and then like, was it Tommy or Zach? One of them.
It's actually both. They go back and forth. I don't remember who says what line, but the poem is roses are red, violets are blue. We could sure learn a lot from you. And then they both say in unison, not.
I think Tommy starts it. I think.
Yeah, definitely. He says roses are red, and then Zach says violets are blue.
Yeah.
And then Tommy says, we could learn a lot from you. And then they both say not. But anyway, so then we cut to the lake. I guess a lake. I guess there's not an established lake. We cut to a lake.
Yeah, a lake.
And Tommy and Kimberly are out together. And Kim's like, "Hey, Tommy, why'd you call me? You sounded super serious over the phone." And Tommy's like, "Cause I wanted to ask you this really important question, like a super important question, um, and he really beats around the bush for like a minute straight.
He
and then
does.
and then just as he's about to get the question out, guess what? Putty time.
Buddy Patrol.
Putty time. So Kim and Tommy start fighting the putties. At some point, Kim drops her morpher, and the putty gets a hold of it. It's a whole situation. And then eventually, even though Tommy is, spin kicking it up, killing the putties, they kind of catch him off guard. They grab him. Goldar shows up, stabs his sword into the ground, and it teleports him and Tommy and the putties away. And Goldar's like, "You're never gonna see Tommy again!" Ah! So that
Yeah.
happens. That's unfortunate for Tommy.
Poor Tommy.
uh, so, so they get to the dark dimension. Tommy tries to call. I don't think he actually does say Zordon. Maybe I missed it. I think he says Jason and then he says Alpha. Those are the only two names he says when he's pressing his communicator.
Possibly, I can't.
Maybe he
actually
said
remember.
Zordon before he said Jason and I just didn't hear him, but I don't know. But he definitely calls for Jason and for Alpha and maybe Zordon, and he can't get to anyone, obviously, because his communicator doesn't work in the dark dimension. And then Goldar's like, "Here's the green candle! I'm gonna tell you exactly about it and what it does and how you can stop it! If the flame goes out, you die. You don't actually die. You lose your powers, though. The Green Ranger dies."
I'm gonna
And
bring you
all,
here where you can stop it instead of keeping it in a locked vault.
yeah, exactly. And also the green candle makes his powers go to Rita, I guess, which I don't know what the logistics of that are. And spoiler alert, I'm sorry to tell you, we won't find out because this is a kids show where the good guys always at least a little bit win.
Yeah.
So we go to the command center, where Kim's like, "Oh, Tommy's good. She's gonna try to turn Tommy against us again. I just know it." And then the alarm goes off, and lo and behold, Dragon Zord is attacking Angel Grove. And they're like, "Oh shit, they must have got him. We gotta go get Dragon Zord." And Kim's like, "What about Tommy?" And then Zack says, "We have to take him down too. No hesitation." Which I don't know if I like. Maybe I do. I'm unclear. I'm conflicted on Zack's complete non-hesitance.
I don't think I like it because it's just like, um, you spent all that time working with Tommy, and he's become one of your closest friends, and at the first sign of trouble, it's like, oh, yeah, let's just attack him.
So this is a spoiler, but it's a minor spoiler for a year from now, and in fact, it's not a spoiler for you because you have seen this particular episode of season 2 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In Green Ranger versus White Ranger, Rocky has a moment like this that is real bad.
Oh, Rocky.
Where evil Green Ranger shows up and Rocky's immediate reaction is Tommy has turned on us. He does not consider any. He doesn't even say Tommy's been put under a spell. He says he's turned on us.
Jesus. What's wrong with this guy?
Yeah. But this line, I can see what they were doing. Like, obviously, the idea is like that it's no nonsense. They're Power Rangers. They have to do what needs to be done. But I feel like there needs to be a first part of that sentence where Zach's like, "It's really unfortunate, but we'll have to take him down too." Like, it does not. It's missing that glaring beginning part that would make it be better.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So regardless, this moral quandary is quickly put on the back burner because Zordon realizes this is not the Dragon Sword. This is actually Cyclops, which is a shape-shifting monster, which we saw them make earlier, by the way. I forgot about that part.
Oh yeah.
Uh, they put him in the Monster-matic, and he came out. And you see, weird choice in name, because again, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but it's out of context, so not really. Very soon, there's going to be a very prominent enemy named Cyclopsis. So it's weird that this close they have a monster named Cyclops.
Uh-huh.
You'll learn about Cyclopsis pretty soon. I think 4 episodes is when Doomsday happens.
Oh, Doomsday.
The original finale of Power Rangers. Doomsday was originally written to be it. And then they rewrote it a little bit at the end so that it could not be it because Power Rangers was making $1 billion.
I'm expecting big things because you hyped this up really, really
What's
heavily.
funny is I'm hyping it up. I don't even remember Doomsday that well. I know that it was supposed to be the finale, so it's like a big deal 2-parter.
Makes sense.
But regardless, so Cyclops is attacking. They have to go fight the monster. It's morphin time. They go. Meanwhile, in the Dark Dimension, Goldar is called to battle to help Cyclops. And Tommy's like, Tommy gives away the gun. Goldar wouldn't even have fucking thought about it if Tommy didn't give the green candle the most like sinister mug in history right in front of Goldar's face. Because it seemed like Goldar didn't even think about it until that. And then he was like, oh, yeah, no, fuck you. You're not getting the candle. And then he puts him in magical chains.
Yeah, like, why did he even... why bother looking at it? It's just... Oh,
Yeah, he
my
should have remained completely stoic, as if he hadn't even considered the thought, and then the moment Goldar leaves, fucking flying kick that motherfucker. But that's not what happened, obviously. And now Tommy's in Magic Chains, which, Nightster, yet another logical quandary of Green with Evil. He is chained at the waist with his arms. Why didn't he just hop over to the candle?
And do one of his famous Tommy kicks.
Even if you couldn't, you probably couldn't pull off a kick if you didn't have your arms to like maneuver yourself. But he could just like headbutt it off the pedestal.
True, he could have done that. But no, he didn't even think.
Yeah, the magical candle, the magical chains also make you not able to hop, I guess. They're magical anti-hop chains.
Anti-hop chains. Yeah.
Oh shit. That's gonna be an issue.
What's an issue? What have you done?
It's not a major issue. I can fix it. It's just so I'm on a new computer, by the way. I've had this computer for like 6 months. My friend had it in storage, and he has a better computer now, so he sent it to me for free. But when it got here, I hooked it up and it said that the fan wasn't working. And it's an Alienware. And Alienwares have this thing where they're just like infamously stupid hard to open. So I just like couldn't open it and I kind of just gave up. So I just sat on my table for like 6 months. And then yesterday morning, I was like, let's take a crack at it. And I got it open, finally. And then the kicker, the fucking comedy of this whole situation is I get it open and I'm like, okay, what exactly did the error say? Because I'm pretty sure most computers have 2 fans, so I want to make sure I'm looking at the right fan. And I turned the computer on, and the error didn't come up, and it just booted normally. So maybe the computer just needed a minute, and instead I gave it 6 months.
Oh,
So that's fun. But now I'm on my new computer, which is great because I can stream video games made in 2005 without them lagging to death, which is a major improvement over my previous setup.
yeah.
But regardless, what happened was that the screen timer went off because I wasn't touching anything, but I just turned off the screen timer, so we're fine.
Okay, good.
But regardless, where were we? I need to stop saying fucking. It's I have a verbal tick and I hate it. And whenever I have to, like the 2 episodes ago, when I had to listen to the whole show because I was editing things manually, I noticed how many fucking times I say and it makes me want to rip my fucking vocal cords out. I don't deserve to be allowed to talk with how much I say.
I mean, everyone has their own little verbal things. I don't think you should be worrying too much about it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just I've become like I've become neurotic about it because somebody pointed it out once and like made fun of it. And now it's just in my mind forever, but I can't stop doing it. And then whenever I start thinking about it, I'll say it anyway, and then I'll realize what I've done and be like, "Fuck." But I'll keep saying it just as much because it's like a verbal tick. I can't stop.
Yeah,
What I should
I get
do,
it.
what I should start trying to do is just like mute myself through the That might be a good technique, but we'll see how good I can be at that. But God damn it. But they fight. They go to fight Cyclops in the
Yeah, the fans.
Megazord.
Yeah,
That's going on. I'll stop. uh, yeah, they can't beat it though. It's too powerful. And then we go back to the Dark Dimension. Goldar fights with Tommy a little bit more. But then Tommy gets the upper hand a little bit. And he
hey,
gets Goldar's sword. And he's like, hey, I saw how you came in. I wonder if it works the other way. And Goldar's like, oh, stop! And he stabs the
no,
sword onto the ground, and it teleports him and Goldar back to Earth. And then he kicks Goldar, steals his morpher back, morphs, and leaves. So go Tommy, you did it.
we did.
Also, this is like, for some reason, this is like one of the Tommy morphs that stick in my head when he says, see you later, gold guy, and then morphs.
It's quite a funny scene. Just like, all right, see you later, gold guy.
See you later,
I'm
gold guy. Dragon Zord. But yeah, he escapes. He summons the real Dragon Zord to help fight the monster, and they get him to flee. They successfully get him to the point where he would have been murdered, but he leaves instead, so he's around for part two. And then we go back to the command center. Alpha scans Tommy for any sort of damage or whatever. And then Zordon's like, the green candle, it's bad. If it burns out, you'll lose your powers. And then Tommy's like, and then the camera dramatically zooms into Tommy for what is obviously the last line before the to be continued. He's like, oh no, Rita wasn't bluffing. If that candle burns out, the Green Ranger is history. Ba 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 da ba ba. So that's part one. So Nightster, who's your favorite character in the Green Candle, part one?
Mm, I need to go back to my list because I forgot who I put. Surprise, surprise! It was Tommy.
Wow, I can't believe this.
Who would have seen that coming?
Truly could not.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, hmm. Oh, that's Crow. I was like, why did it stop at Wheel of Misfortune? Green Candle Part One. Knight says Tommy. I think I'm gonna also say Tommy. Like, obviously, he gets the upper hand on Goldar. He escapes the dimension with his mind and his brain. He has that one fuck up with the mean mug look that got him out of getting the candle back in the first place, potentially. But other than that, he was pretty smart. He was the central focal point character of the episode, and he was well depicted the whole time. Um, there are a few lines throughout both parts of Green Candle where I do go like, "All right, oh right, Jason David Frank's not that good of an actor," but
Yeah,
regardless, I think I will give it to Tommy as well. As for favorite scene, I probably will give it to Tommy's escape from the Dark Dimension because that was rad.
favorite scene. Uh, I can't remember if the scene I'm thinking of is in part one or part two.
What scene is it? Did we talk about it?
I don't think we did,
I
but
think
it
I was
was
pretty. I think I was pretty pretty thorough about this episode. I don't know if I missed
It was
much.
part. It was part of the fight with Cyclops.
What was
Like
it? What
it was
part?
part of where Cyclops is going through a bunch of different transformations,
I
and
is that I don't know what part that was. Fuck.
and he and he lands on the Tyrannosaurus.
Okay, this is gonna bother me forever. God damn it.
Uh, let me just mute my YouTube so I can. Green candle, part one. Just making sure that the sound doesn't go through because there's no sound.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not recording at OBS anyway. That was the problem before.
True, but the mic might have picked it up.
Yeah, I guess if it was loud enough, it might.
Okay, no, I think it was
Okay,
part
Megazord. Wait. I think I found it. I think it might have been this part. Hold on, I have to rewind a little bit because I think I was right at the end. Okay, he turns into Megazord. Then Dragonzord battle mode. Yep, it was this part. It was part one.
two. Yeah, I'm going with that
Oh wait,
because
yeah, no, he doesn't land on Tyrannosaurus, so maybe it is part two. In this episode, he just turns into Megazord and then turns into Dragonzord battle mode and then leaves.
okay, so it is part two. In that case, I'm actually going to give it to the demorphed fight with Tommy and Kimberly against the Putties
Yeah, that's
because
pretty good.
I just love to see those demorphed fights, and Kim had flips for days.
Yeah, the unmorphed fights. That's the bread and butter of season two. Okay, season two is rough around the edges, but get ready for those unmorphed fights, dog, because they're on another level. And if you to pick, like, if you had to pick the best unmorphed fight, the best season of Power Rangers for unmorphed fights, it is unquestionably Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season two.
Which is funny, considering it's called Mighty Morphin.
Yes, it's really cool when they don't morph in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
And this one even gave a reason for why they didn't, because one of the parties just kicked Kim's morpher away.
Hey, by the way, I suppose technically, America's favorite game show, Why Can't Tommy Morph Today? Because he was in the dark dimension. We didn't mention
Uh, yeah.
that.
Oh my god,
uh,
yeah, and two parties did the flips.
the putty flips. It's always funny when the putties are doing crazy flips.
Yeah.
But the next part aired the next day, November 18th. Same director, maybe same writers, maybe not. The wiki is unclear. So we start off in the command center. Zordon's like, somebody's got to go into the dark dimension to get the candle if we're gonna save Tommy. And Tommy's like, all right, cool, I got this. And Zordon's like, no, it will make the candle more potent somehow if you're near it, which he already was for a while.
Please tell
So
me that
that's weird.
there's subtitles on this.
What'd you say? You like broke up a little bit.
I was gonna say if there was subtitles on it. Your presence will only accelerate the candles burning.
Interesting thing to introduce as a concept in part two, after Tommy spent half of part one directly in front of the green candle.
Yeah.
And then Jason's like, I'll go. It makes sense because I'm the only one who's ever been there before besides you. And Tommy's like, Jason, I'm not gonna let you risk your life for me. And Jason's like, you're our teammate. We gotta try to save you. And Trini's like, yes, he is right. He speaks for all of us. We're gonna do it. And Tommy just like puts his hand on Jason's shoulder. And he's like, thanks, man. And then they form their plan. Alpha gets the molecular particles that the putties left behind when they stole Tommy. And Billy's able to create a machine that can use those particles to teleport them to the dark dimension. Okay, I suppose.
I guess.
I guess. And then we go to the moon. And Rita's like, "Oh shit, they're gonna ruin my plans. I gotta send Cyclops again, so that they're forced into battle, so they don't ruin my plans." So that's happening. monster's coming. Then we go to the lake. The Rangers are setting up the device, but they are briefly interrupted by Bulk and Skull, who claim that this public park is their private park. Also, they're huffing and puffing because they had to climb a hill.
Yep.
And they're all like, "It's a public park. You guys suck. Leave." And Bulk's like, "I want to see that weird device you have." And Zach's like, "You can look, but don't touch." And Bulk's like, "Nobody tells Bulk what to do." And then he charges like a bull, and Zach leads him like a bullfighter, and eventually he finds his way into a trash can and rolls down the hill, and Skull falls down the hill. Bulk and Skull, folks.
I almost thought for a second that was going to be where Bulk and Skull find out the identities.
Nah, unfortunately, we got a good few seasons. Well, we do and we don't. We'll get there.
I'm like, oh my god, they're showing up right as they're doing some Ranger shit.
Uh-oh. They're gonna find out.
But no.
But yeah, they set it up. The alarm goes off in the command center for Cyclops. And Zordon's like, "We gotta call the Power Rangers." And Tommy's like, "No, let me do it." And Zordon's like, "You would have to fight him alone." And like the other 5 Power Rangers got their asses kicked earlier. And Tommy's like, "I have to try." And Zordon's like, "Whatever." So Tommy goes and fights Cyclops. Is this no, that was last part that I forgot to mention, where he tries to call the Dragon Zord and it takes 3 flutes because his powers are weakening. But this time it only takes the 1 flute. But it seems like it doesn't actually seem like the command tune isn't working. Tommy just like decides, "I'm gonna drive it today."
Which I thought was quite a neat little thing, because I don't think we've actually seen him get into the Dragon Zord until this episode. Like
It's
always just
almost
been...
weird that the Dragon Zord has a cockpit. Cause like it's always been established that like you play the flute and it commands the Dragon Zord, and nobody's ever driven the Dragon Zord. It's weird that it even has a cockpit. It's cool, but it's weird.
Yeah. I didn't even know it had one until the episode.
And I think this might be the only time we see Dragon Zord's cockpit. Don't quote me on that, but I think it might be.
Oh my god.
So Tommy tries to fight Cyclops with Dragon Zord, who is originally the Dragon Zord, I think, and then he turns into the Megazord so that you can tell who's who in the fight.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
the only reason.
Go ahead.
That was it. That's the only reason they do that.
Yeah. The way you said that's the only reason, it sounded like the start of a sentence.
Oh no.
So Tommy knocks down Cyclops. It turns into Dragon Zord battle mode, and then the Tyrannosaurus Zord, and then it starts fighting Dragon Zord. Meanwhile, they set up the device. The Power Rangers do. Jason enters the dark dimension. Goldar is waiting for him, obviously, and they start skirmishing. And that goes on for a while, and then eventually at the command center, Zordon's like, "Shit, Tommy's not working out. We got to call the other Power Rangers." And they all have to go. But Nightster, if you think about it for 5 minutes, Dragon Zord Battle Mode is a powerful Megazord configuration that only requires the Dragon Zord, the Triceratops, the Saber-toothed Tiger, and the Mastodon. Alpha is capable of walking around and doing things and holding things. So why not send Alpha there, have Kim and Alpha hold the device, and then fight the monster with Dragon Zord Battle Mode?
Because plot.
Because plot.
That's the only reason I can give you.
So instead, Zach goes into the dark dimension to retrieve Jason. And he's like, but I gotta get the candle or Tommy will lose his powers. And Zach says a surprisingly real line where, like, this might be the most direct reference to death they make in Power Rangers for a very long time, where it's not just referred to as destroy. Where Zach is like, if we don't go help Tommy, he's gonna lose his life.
Yeah.
which is pretty raw. And Goldar's like, what will you choose? And Jason just kind of looks conflicted, but he obviously lets Zach drag him out because obviously the choice is Tommy's life. And Goldar tries to taunt him, which I'm almost surprised that didn't work. Like, I would have expected Jason to fucking jump out of Zach's arms and flying kick Goldar for this comment, but he had the restraint. Thankfully. Where Goldar was like, it was the same thing as Island of Illusion, where Jason's illusion started with Goldar being like, "If you were a better leader, you would have fixed this already." In this case, Goldar's like, "You give up too easily." I really thought that would work on him.
Yeah, me too. But like, Jason's learned a lot since the last time this shit has happened.
Jason's learned a lot in 6 episodes since Island of Illusion.
He's grown as a character.
I suppose. So the Power Rangers morph. Jason says he's gonna go back in for the candle. Spoiler alert, that doesn't work out. So they morph. They go fight Cyclops with Tommy. And they form the Ultrazord. They murder Cyclops. Tommy says, "You could never take my powers. The Green Ranger's a hero or something." They do.
Yeah.
So yeah, they use Ultrazord. They kill Cyclops. He's dead. I guess not much happens in this episode, all things considered, because we're almost 15 minutes into the description. 15 minutes into the episode worth of description, and I think we've been talking for like 5 about part 2.
Yeah. So like, with
A lot of it is fighting.
yeah, there wasn't a lot to cover because a lot of this episode was just them fighting Cyclops.
Yeah.
Huddies.
So they form the Ultrazord, they destroy Cyclops, but the green candle burns out. That's it. The Power Rangers, for pretty much the first time, because this never gets truly reversed, it gets kind of reversed, but not entirely. The Power Rangers lost.
In a sense, yeah, they did.
So we go back to the command center. Tommy's like, "What's happening to me?" And Zordon's like, "The candle burned out. Now the only thing you can do to maintain the Green Ranger powers is if you give your power coin to another Ranger, we can keep the power of the Dragon Zord on our side or whatever." And then all the other Rangers are like, "No," and Tommy's like, "I don't have any other choice. Like, I obviously have to do this. There's no other way." So he gives his coin to Jason. And Jason gets the Dragon Shield, and Tommy loses the Dragon Shield. And Tommy's like, "Take good care of it, man." And then he starts glowing green and being distressed, and he's like, "What's happening?" And someone's like, "Your body is morphing back to its natural state." And he was like, "Green Ranger, you've been a great warrior, and you're a noble man." And that's when I kind of started tearing up. was like Zordon's speech about the Green Ranger, as like his friends are like mourning the loss around him as he like glows and slowly loses the powers.
Yeah. That's the
So
one that got me as well.
so ultimately, Tommy demorphs, and Tommy's like, "I'm thankful for my time as a Power Ranger. It'll always be with me. Now, what's important to me is my friendship with you guys, and I don't want that to change. And Jason, you got to use my powers to defeat Rita." And Jason's like, "Of course, man." And that's it. Tommy, as of right now, is no longer a Power Ranger,
No, he is not.
which, tragic.
Very.
This was almost his end forever. Because the show was going to end 5 episodes later at one point.
Yeah, this originally was going to be the end of his character,
Correct.
or at least his Green Ranger arc.
Is the Green Ranger. He like shows up as a guy, I think, in Doomsday, but he's not the Green Ranger.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. That's not it for the episode. That's it for Tommy being a Power Ranger. There's one more scene. So we go back to the lake. Tommy's doing karate. And Kimberly stops in to check on him. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm hanging in. I'm working on my karate, you know." And she's like, "We miss you." And Tommy's like, "Well, you know, you guys were a team long before me, so I'm sure things will get back to normal before long." And she's like, "I miss you." And they lock eyes. And they smooch. It's kissing time.
Oh gosh, it's like the whole it's morphin time, but it's kissing time
It's
instead.
kissing time.
All right, it's kissing time.
Kissing time.
Locking lips.
I can imagine Jason saying that, then just like passionately making out with Tommy. That'd be funny.
Oh my god, the fan from this are going to be insane.
So yeah, they kiss. They break the kiss, and Tommy's like, "I've been waiting to do that a long time," and Kim's like, "Me too." And he's like, "I guess that makes this next part easy. Then you want to go to the dance?" And then Kim like turns her back on him, and he's like, "Kim," and Kim turns around. He's like, "I didn't want." She's like, "I didn't want to make it too easy. Of course, I'm gonna go to the dance with you." And then Tommy picks her up and spins her around, and this is the other part where I tear up. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Nightster, who's your favorite character in Green Candle Part 2?
This one might be a bit of a shock because it's not Tommy, but
Okay.
I'm giving this one to Zach, just because of his like normally it's Jason who steps up and shit, but Zach was showing his leader qualities in the group that you were kept telling me about, as he was the one that went, "All right, I'll go get Jason."
Yeah, like as human friends, Zach is the leader. Like
Yeah.
Jason is the tactical leader of the Power Rangers, but Zach is like the patriarch of the friend group.
And he really showed that in this episode, so I have to give it to him.
You know what? I was thinking about it, and like I was almost tempted to give it to Jason. Like, and of course, there's temptation to give it to Tommy. But like at the risk of being a yes man, you do make a very compelling point. Like that like Zach steps up here. That line about Tommy losing his life was hard as fuck. I think I'll give it to Zach too.
Fair enough.
Now we have to rank Green Candle and Nightster.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh fuck! Favorite scene.
Favorite scene.
I'm gonna give it to the kiss. I'm gonna give it to the kiss. I'm a simple man. I get invested in ships, and I like when they're acted upon. I'm giving it to the kiss.
I'm sticking to my guns. I'm gonna say when Cyclops turned into the Tyrannosaur, because we really don't get to see the core 5 Zords separately as much anymore. So I'm glad when it happens.
Yeah, that's fair. But now we have to rank it. And Nightster, I'm about to ask you a question, and I know your answer, but I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it in your mind. I want you to genuinely mull it over. Is Green Candle better than Green with Evil?
Well, I agree with you. No, because I guess
because again, I expect your answer to this question to be no, because you're very invested in evil Tommy, whereas I'm much more invested in good Tommy. And for good Tommy, this is a like extremely good story. There's a lot of emotional beats here. The Power Rangers actually lose, which is interesting. There's a lot of good stuff here. This is probably my favorite episode of season 1 to bury the lead extremely early. But this is the collaborative list, so I'm gonna leave it up to you. It's definitely
Oh,
better than Different Drum, and I'm sure you don't disagree on
yeah.
that.
Oh no, it's trust me, I'm fighting a battle between Grim Revival and Green Candle because one of them is number one, and the other one is number two. That's definite. I'm gonna say Green Candle is above.
Oh shit, really? I'm getting my way here? Hell yeah.
I have to be real. Like the story.
Yeah, it's just a really solid story for the Power Rangers, and it's like it's a story for and about the Power Rangers, whereas Green with Evil is about Tommy, who was not like a real Power Ranger yet at that time a lot. So it's like a deep emotional story that follows six core Power Rangers working together, where they lose, and it's like intense and emotional, but it's still a happy ending because Tommy gets the girl, and that's comforting. So it's a well told story. They managed to have both a sad and happy ending at the same time. I think it's truly masterfully crafted. There is one other episode way later, that has a different name, but you could perhaps call it Green Candle Part 3 and Part 4 if you were feeling froggy. Um, and that one I feel a little stronger about. We'll get there when we get there. But even this one is just like, it's chef's kiss. It's masterful.
Yeah, I have to agree.
So coming in at the new number one, Green Candle. So how we feeling about the season right now overall? This episode's running a little short, but I think this is kind of a pretty significant. It's not quite the halfway point. We're a little past the halfway point, but this is kind of a significant change in the status quo about halfway through the season. So I think this is a good time to kind of just assess our thoughts so far. So how are you feeling about season one, Nightster?
I'll be honest, when I first started this podcast, I thought, okay, I'm not gonna enjoy this until we get to like the Disney era because that's my era of the show. That's where I really started to get
You
into it.
didn't think we were gonna enjoy Lightspeed Rescue and Time Force?
Not as much, but I
Yeah,
thought I'd
fair
like
enough.
it a bit. But to be honest, I'm really enjoying Mighty Morphin.
I'm very happy to hear you say that.
This is very good.
Yeah, there's something about Mighty Morphin. There's something special about it where there's a reason why this is the one that has like continued to permeate throughout culture for all time. Like there's just something about it where there are better seasons. It's not my favorite season, but it just has this like unique style about it that just made it so memorable for a generation, and like it continues to hold up to this day, at least as well as any Power Ranger season could hold up, because they all have like goofy kid show writing problems, but when you look past those, and they're there in literally every season no matter what, even Time Force, sorry guys, uh, but if you look past those, there's something really special about Mighty Morphin that's hard to define. That's the reason why it's so culturally impactful again versus other seasons.
Yeah.
And I know you were already a big Tommy fan, so you've you've already got a character that you like, and I'm sure you've come to like the other ones. That's one of its biggest strengths, I think, is its cast. Because like
Oh, definitely.
later seasons kind of struggle where like part of the cast will be really good, and then a couple of the other ones will just be like, you're just here.
Yeah.
In Mighty Morphin is one of those shows where the cast is super solid. At least at first. Like we'll see how we feel about Rocky. I feel like I still like Rocky in Mighty Morphin. Well, we'll see how that holds up as we get there. I feel like we're not gonna hate Rocky. You don't give me the vibes of somebody who's gonna hate Rocky. And I definitely won't hate Rocky, but I know he is not as good in Mighty Morphin as he is in Zeo.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion of him might be somewhat biased soon by the fact that I'm actually getting a chance to meet him. So,
Yes, you are getting a chance to meet him. Yeah, your first impression of him was him thinking that Tommy betrayed the team immediately, because the only episode you've seen with him in it is Green Ranger versus White Ranger.
yeah. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe the actor's gonna change my perception of what he's like somehow.
Yeah, Steve Hardinez is awesome. Like in real life, him, Steve, like I love that guy to death. And I think he performs quite well in Power Rangers, at the very least with what he's given as far as Mighty Morphin is concerned.
Yeah.
Because he's just there because Haim Saban is a dick. Did
I
you
mean,
a new detail came out about the cast change story? Did you ever hear about it? I don't know if we talked about it on this show when that documentary came out. I think we might have.
remind me.
So there was a documentary. It's this like documentary series about like Hollywood, and they do like different installments about like different like fucked things that went on in Hollywood. And they did an episode on Power Rangers. And one of the revelations that came from it was a like producer of the show or something, or maybe like a family friend of Twee Trang's. I'm not sure who the guy was, but he gave an interview where he talked about how there was a party to like celebrate the success of Power Rangers, where like all the Fox executives and shit were there. And it was like in the middle of season 2 that this happened. And Twee Trang got on stage and she had a written speech she was supposed to give, but then she went off script and like laid into the Fox executives for her and her friends not getting paid enough.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Like very significant figures in Fox Entertainment, a huge media
Yeah.
conglomerate. Like fucking the kahunas on Twee Trang, truly admirable. And then she went backstage and cried because she just ruined her job because obviously she's getting fired for this, and then she did.
Yeah, I think that does ring a bit of a bell.
But yeah, I was enthralled by that story because I'm like, that's awesome. That's a cinema moment. I hope somebody
Yeah.
makes like a movie about the production of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers someday, and that's a significant scene.
If they do, there better be something about um like bringing more light to the shit that
David
oh,
Yost.
David Yost faced. Yeah.
Yeah,
No idea
that
how you knew how that what I was talking about, but
because I knew I was like, who was discriminate who what was a controversy going on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers set that was not them not getting paid enough. Oh, Billy being homophobically bullied constantly, or David Yost rather, not Billy.
yeah, because that wasn't cool. That was fucked
No,
up.
I will say though, I don't appreciate people implicating Austin St. John in that. Because like him and Austin St. John are still friends to this day, so there's like no fucking way that he was involved. But everybody just assumes that he was because everybody hates him now. And I guess like he did a silly gay voice as a joke once, and now he's labeled as homophobic forever, which I'm not cool with. You're allowed to do a gay voice as a joke.
Yeah. I
I,
mean,
I, I
as
just I
long
just wanted to say that real quick because I've seen discourse about this in the Power Rangers community where they're falsely crediting Austin St. John with some of this homophobia that David Yost faced when that's obviously not the case.
yeah, it's clearly not. Because I don't think they would still be friends if
Yeah, no, obviously.
if he was homophobic to him. And I don't. Another point about that is, do you really think if Austin St. John was homophobic, he would be friends with someone who he knew was gay?
Well, that does happen. There are homophobes with gay friends. That has occurred, but I don't think that's the case here.
Yeah.
There are gay people with low enough self-esteem and homophobic people who need friends enough that they'll just be friends with a gay guy and call him the F slur occasionally. That does occur. But I don't think that's what happened here.
I've honestly never heard of that happening, but I guess it does.
I've seen it. I've seen it in real life. It's happened before.
Um,
But yeah, I'm trying to stall a little bit more. These episodes have been coming out a little short recently.
yeah, they have been.
You gotta have more thoughts, Nightster. Come on now. Get that brain a juggling.
Hey, well, maybe I would if you gave me some time to speak.
Well, go. You can speak all you want. Just you got to take the stick every once in a while.
Hey, yo.
I said stick, not dick. Okay.
Careful with your phrasing there, buddy. Okay, now being put on the spot is fucking... Okay, Green Ranger. What can we say about Green Ranger Tommy that we haven't already said a million times?
It's unfortunate that he doesn't get to do anything. That's a thing about Green Tommy that
Yeah,
we learn here. Thankfully, that's less of a problem when he comes back, because they had specific footage tailored so he would be in it.
yeah,
But
that's the White Ranger.
not even the White Ranger, like the second run of the Green Ranger is also much less not him participating than it
At
was
least
this time.
we at least get some good shots of him with the real dragon shield and not that crappy foam one.
That's true.
Also, I'm speaking of suits. Even if you enjoy the character of White Tommy more, can you at least agree that the suit for Green Tommy is better than the suit for White Tommy?
I don't know if I agree with that. They're both like S tier suits. It's really hard to decide which one I prefer.
Because I genuinely think that not only is it my favorite Tommy suit, it might be in my top 5 Ranger suits in general of all time.
I think I'm more of a fan of like regular Ranger suits than one with accoutrements, like generally. I'm gonna say my favorite Tommy suit right now, and it might be the most controversial thing I've ever said on this podcast, because it's definitely the opposite of my favorite Tommy. But I think my favorite Tommy suit might be the red turbo suit. I really like the turbo suits.
Turbo suits are good, yeah. That's the one suit that he never gets any like every time he came back, that was the one suit that he never got
That's true. They gave
any
it to him
nod.
in the comic, though.
Yeah, in the comic he did, but Master Morpher in the episode, no turbo. When he fought his 3 other selves in Dino Thunder, turbo was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, they want you to forget that Tommy was the Red Turbo Ranger, because Tommy sucked as the Red Turbo Ranger.
Yeah, but he was great in all of his other suits.
And it was funny because like they were still like he was still like the big damn hero. He became Goku. Like the whole conceit of Dragon Ball Z is like an evil bad guy shows up. Goku is for some reason unable to immediately engage, and his friends have to try to hold off the monster and get their asses kicked until Goku arrives. That's literally Tommy in Turbo. He's too busy racing his cars. The other 4 Power Rangers try to fight a monster and get their asses kicked, and then Tommy comes in and saves the day.
Oh my god. I will note though that you did say that what you enjoyed the suits when they're like the more basic in the team line suits.
Yes.
Is that what you said? In a sense, Green Tommy is that, but he just has a shield.
And the
Take
like
away the
golden cuffs.
yes, but they're part of the shield in some cases.
I
Sometimes
suppose that's correct.
sometimes he gives the shield to Jason or Zach or whoever, and the cuffs go with the shield. Sometimes they stay on Tommy. It's weird. But in this episode, when the green crystal was transferred from, well, green power coin was transferred from Tommy to Jason, and Jason wore the shield, he had the cuffs on, and Tommy didn't.
Mhm. Oh, I didn't notice that. Good catch.
I was looking out for it because I was trying to see, okay, does he decide to give the cuffs as well, or is that just part of the shield, and he sometimes decides not to give the cuffs for whatever reason? But no, by default, if we go by that, the cuffs go along.
Fair
And
enough.
then
Yeah,
Green,
and like the thing is though, like that part of the I like the Green Ranger. I'm not saying I don't, but I'm saying like that part of the suit is like extra accoutrement, and it's very essential because without it, I think the suit looks stupid.
I think for that, it just looks like a regular Mighty
There's
Morphin
something
suit.
about the helmet shape that just like only works for me if he has the dragon shield. Like his head looks goofy without the dragon shield.
Wait, is it maybe because it's stretched forward a little bit to account for the length of the shield?
I think that might be it. Yes.
So that while he doesn't have the shield on, you can really see how it looks long and thin.
Yes, exactly. His helmet looks goofy when he doesn't have the dragon shield. That's the problem. Yes.
And here's what I don't get about Tommy and Bri even. They call him, well, they call his Zord the Dragon Zord, and Bri is even called the Dragon Ranger. But that's not a fucking dragon. That is Godzilla.
I mean, yeah. You could. It's not necessarily Godzilla. You could probably call it a lot of things, but I don't know if dragon is one of them.
Bro, he comes out of the water just like Godzilla. He storms through the thing like Godzilla. He has the freaking roar. He's shaped just like him.
I think they made that joke. I think. So, have you heard? Are you aware of the concept of an abridged series? I assume you are.
Yes, I know abridged. Like I know Dragon Ball abridged.
There
Like
is a
tournament.
there is a very short-lived Mighty Morphin Power Rangers abridged series that is like terribly made and shitty. And I remember one of the bits was when Dragon Zord first rises, everybody goes, Gojira? Gojira!
Gojira!
And also Zach, much like Adam is disappointed about his frog, Zach is very disappointed that everybody else has a cool dinosaur and he has an elephant. And instead of saying mastodon when he morphs, he says, goddamn elephant.
God damn it. Dinosaurs.
And Jason constantly says, I pick things up and put them down. I pick things up and put them down. It's a very silly YouTube series. I don't even know if it's still available. I think this might be
Oh,
lost media, what I'm describing.
oh, I need to look it up. MMPR abridged. Is it by someone called um Hilala Force?
I don't think so, but
Yeah,
maybe.
wrong one then.
I think the person might have gone by like Orange Ranger.
Orange Ranger. Mighty Morphin Orange Ranger. No, that's not what I wanted. I abridged Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 1 to 3. Okay, there's a Reddit post.
No, I think they mean they literally abridged it, as in like they took out all the episodes you don't need to watch. Because
Ah,
that's
page
what
30.
abridged actually means, is just like they take it and they make it shorter. But then YouTube was like, what if we take it and we make it shorter and we also make it funny? And then that was the birth of the abridged series.
Makes sense. Never before seen Ranger color with Fern, but technically no, if we count Boom.
I mean, I don't think we do cap Food because it was a dream sequence, but that
It wasn't Orange Ranger on screen,
is true.
and he got both the chicks.
Definitely. Real as hell. Boom deserves it. Boom's a
It,
hero.
it does, yeah. Freaking Z leaning on his shoulder.
As retrospectively kind of creepy that might be if it happens how you describe it. Because I think Boom is like 30. And the SPD Rangers are canonically teenagers. But you know.
I'm gonna show you a picture of what I found. It's the two female Rangers just kind of cuddling up to him.
They're all adults at least, but Sid and Z are definitely young adults. The canonical age of the SPD Power Rangers is very confusing because Bridge says talks about when he was born because they travel back in time to Dino Thunder times, and he says he was born then, which would make him like 20 or 21. But Cat calls them teenagers. So I have to assume that Bridge is the oldest and the rest of them are 18 or 19.
Okay, so 2023 is when Dino Thunder is set, and
No,
SPD
it's
is
not.
set.
That's Cosmic Fury is 2023.
And Google is telling me lies because it said Power Rangers Dino Thunder is set in a specific timeline within the Power Rangers universe. The series primarily takes place between late August 2003 and May-June 2004.
Oh, you said 2023, so you were
No,
misspeaking.
I think I said 2003 because I definitely did, and my mic must have like glitched or something, and you heard.
I have
Or
to
you,
assume. I don't know. Do they say it's 2003? Because like Dino Thunder came out in 2004, so I assume it just takes place in 2004.
okay, so let's just say it's set in 2004. An SPD is set this year.
SPD is 2025, so Bridge would have
Okay,
had to be
20,
21 or at the lowest 20 going on 21.
2025 minus 2004. He'd have been 21.
He could have also been 20 going on 21 to be
Yeah, 20
generous,
going
to be
21.
closer to teen. But yeah, that's my assumption is that Bridge is like 20 going on 21 and he's the oldest and the others are 18 or 19.
Yeah, makes sense. Funny how we're talking about SPD in a Mighty Morphin episode.
Yeah, we're gonna do this a lot because we have to wait so
True.
long to talk about those shows, and it's a Power Rangers. This is kind of also just like a general Power Rangers podcast. We're gonna talk about episodes, but I don't mind not shying away from the far future. Like we'll get there eventually, but I don't mind talking about it a little bit now.
I'm gonna get that runtime.
Exactly. We're already over, but we're having a good conversation, so I didn't want to fucking throw the axe down. But is there
Yeah.
anything else to say?
Well, I like the episodes. I mean,
Oh
I'm
yeah, we
gonna
have.
miss. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna miss the Green Ranger until he comes back.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be a rough time without our Tommy boy. Do you think this 15 episode stretch is gonna be enough that if another Power Ranger does well enough, Tommy's not gonna win the season for favorite character? Probably not. Even though he's not in 30 of the 60 episodes, I think he's still gonna win.
Yeah, Tommy's just goated.
It's true. But what are we talking about next time? First of all, next week, and second of all, next time on Mighty Morphin. Let's find out.
Next
Uh,
week we have Cosmic Fury episodes. Which one? I
9
think
and
it's the
10.
finale, isn't it? 9 and 10.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the finale for Cosmic Fury next week,
So it's Master Plan and the end.
and then
Next time on Mighty Morphin, we've
um,
got
I'm gonna I'm gonna check the playlist.
Birds of a Feather and Cleanup Club.
Yep.
I remember Cleanup Club. I don't quite remember Birds of a Feather because I thought that Tommy was in Birds of a Feather, so it's obviously not the episode I'm thinking of. And by Tommy, I mean the Green Ranger. I guess Tommy might be in it, but the Green Ranger certainly is not.
I mean, the thumbnail for it literally has Jason in the shield.
Yeah, I did see that. So yeah, it's obviously not the episode I'm thinking of. Oh no,
That's gonna
I
be
saw the episode I was thinking of too. The episode I'm thinking of is Two Heads is Better Than One because I also got that recommended, and I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm thinking of. There's also a bird monster in that one. Spoilers. So I don't remember what happens in Birds of a Feather because I thought it was Two Heads Are Better Than One.
I can't wait for this episode. Jason looks so cool with the shield.
He really does. It's pretty rad. Dragon Shield Red Ranger. I guess we didn't really dwell on this enough. Dragon Shield Red Ranger, fucking sick.
Any Dragon Shield Ranger looks fucking dope.
Like, yes, but like the Red Ranger in particular. Like Zack also gets it once, and that's cool. But like something about the red suit with the dragon shield just like works super well,
Yeah, true.
and nobody else ever gets it. We have to rely on fan edits for if we want to see any Ranger besides red or black with the dragon shield.
You would think, knowing their characters, that they'd find a way to at least put Kim in the Dragon Shield at some point.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Or at least, you know,
Apparently,
if Jason David Frank did Once and Always, do you think they would have put Kat in the Dragon Shield? Because that would have kicked ass.
unless this is a fan edit, they did actually put the Pink Ranger in the Dragon Shield for Legacy Wars, that mobile game.
Oh, that's cool.
So that does exist, which makes
Interesting.
sense. I mean, she's literally his love interest. Of course, she would get the shield.
Like she's she's love interest, and even like beyond the love interest stuff, they're like very close. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it makes no sense to not do it. But you know, they weren't nice to the girls back then. It took a while for that. It took until Dino Fury, I think, for them to truly appreciate the female Rangers.
it did. Like, why couldn't the female Rangers ever get their own unique stuff?
Like, I guess this is Sentai's fault technically, but the fact that all the boys get a battleizer in Lightspeed Rescue and the girls don't.
And even in SPD, Sky and Bridge get their own bikes, and the girls just have to sit in the car.
It's true. It's a shame because the girl ones are like almost always the best ones.
Yeah, I can agree on that.
Like I'm trying my favorite ranger from each season. Tommy. That gets it out of the way. That gets the first 4 seasons out of the way pretty quick. And then probably Cassie, and then Cassie again, and then Corone, and then Carter. I can't say that Dane is better than Carter, so not quite a supremacy streak, but a lot of them are girls. Is the point?
Yeah.
But folks, I think we can go ahead and wrap up this fine episode of Megazord Radio. Join us next week when we finish Cosmic Fury.
Yep.
Nightster.
It's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a great time. Where can they find you?
You can find me on my solo YouTube channel, Nightster, or you can find me on Toku Thrill, where we do general tokusatsu stuff with Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, all that shizazz, with Riely and some other friends. So check that channel out.
Also Power Rangers. The audience here likes Power Rangers. Obviously, there is Power Ranger stuff there too.
Yeah, there's Power Rangers on there as well.
Mostly currently because our Zenkaija review is stalled at Nightster.
I'm actually getting the ball rolling on that.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a lead for my computer so I can plug it into a monitor.
Okay, well, stay tuned. Maybe our Zenkaija episode 2 review that we recorded 6 months ago will come out soon.
Maybe longer.
Maybe longer. And then I'll rewatch episode 3 because I definitely did watch it. I had like a mental breakdown because I was talking to Crow about Zenkaija, and I started saying things that were in episode 3. And they were like, "You've only seen 2 episodes, I thought." And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "That happens in episode 3." And I looked it up and I read the plot summary of episode 3 and I was like, "I definitely fucking watched this episode." I guess we just were going to do it and then didn't is what happened.
Yeah, must have been.
But regardless, folks, linktr.ee/Riely Cinematic Universe. That's RIELY Cinematic Universe. Podcasts, YouTube channels, so many things. If you didn't know, I do have a regularly updated Let's Play channel. We are now at full force. We've been on a couple hiatuses recently, but I think we're back in the saddle entirely. We're a week ahead on recording now, so we have a buffer zone. So folks, if you like two silly little guys doing commentary over video games, maybe consider checking out a little channel called Big Guy Little Guy. It is a channel where me and my friend Andrew do video games. Right now we're playing through Mario 64. He's playing that. He did a new Super Mario Bros. Wii speed run that's getting posted soon. And then we are going to start playing Super Mario 3D World either this coming session or the next, depending on when my copy fucking ships. We'll see. But yeah, big things going on in Big Guy Little Guy. That's a particular project I wanted to highlight. Check that out if you have it in your heart. Folks, I think that's it for Megazord Radio. I've been Riely.
I've been Nightster.
And until next time, we're morphing out of here. It's
It's
morphin'
morphin' time.
time!